Hey, and welcome to Brand OTC or Brand Over the Counter, where we answer your branding questions with a full over the counter product. Now, today's product is called Logozyme, and Logozyme strengthens your visual credibility and recognition through professional design. If you're struggling with this, you'll probably see that you have an amateur impression, inconsistent visuals, or low trust. Let's get into it. My name is Cynthia Kita, and I'm your brand strategist, designer, and educator here at the Design Firmacy. And the question we're tackling today is, do I really need a professional logo to look credible? Now, that is a great question. I think it's a question that a lot of people typically have because getting great brand design, including your logo, is not something that is cheap to do. It requires an investment if you want it to be done correctly, if you want it to be something that is completely unique to you, something that stands out in your market. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. All I can say is it's an investment. I'm not saying that you're going to spend an arm and a leg and sell your body parts or anything like that. But if you are serious about your business, you definitely want to be serious about investing in the things that matter, that will help you set yourself apart and give you a good start and position you well in front of your audience. That's the most important thing, because your audience needs to respond properly to what you put out there, and your logo is a part of that. So let's get into it. The honest truth is that you don't have to have a logo, and I'm not necessarily here to force anyone into one. But if you do want to build a brand that's recognizable, one that's memorable, and one that's visually credible, then you definitely want to make sure you have a logo. In that case, a logo is not optional. It is strategy. So a brand without a logo is not considered, you don't want to consider it as something that's minimalistic. It's actually unidentifiable without a logo. So the logo becomes the face of your brand. It is the handshake before you even get to say a word to somebody. I think I've made this example before. If you go into a Walmart or any grocery shop, and let's just say there was a sauce that you tried, or a salad dressing that you tried that was really good, it was really tasty, and you wanted to go and buy more of it because that's what makes sense, right? Something tastes good, you find some more. But then that salad dressing didn't have any type of visual elements on it, no logo, you weren't able to tell it apart from the others. How would you feel? I'm sure you would be really disappointed, picking up random bottles hoping that it was the right one, but not knowing for sure. That's what logos and branding do for a business, literally and figuratively. So let's get into some of the talking points for this episode. So a logo is not mandatory, as I mentioned, but it is extremely helpful. So you can run your business without one, especially in the early stages. But if you have a lack of a visual identity, again, it makes you forgettable. People are not able to find you. They're not able to easily identify you. And so when it comes to your logo, it's not just about the aesthetics, but it's about anchoring your presence in the minds of your audience. That is the most important aspect of branding. It's about what your audience actually thinks about you based off of what they've experienced from you. And you have the opportunity to set the tone correctly, starting with your logo. The next point is that your logos create instant recognition. Humans, we recognize symbols a lot faster than we recognize words. Our eyes are working overtime all the time to help us identify things, to help us recognize, to help us familiarize. Our eyes do a lot of the work. And so your logo will essentially become your shorthand cue, whether it's on your website, packaging, emails, presentations, so on and so forth, on all of your touch points. Once your logo is placed on it, it becomes an identifying mark that it can essentially provide safety for the people who interact with it, because They've come to know your brand and they know that, hey, this logo means that I can trust what is happening here. Even in a collaboration, if they see your logo versus a company that they're not familiar with, because your logo is on there, they can say, hey, I've experienced this brand. I know that I can trust them. If they're partnering up with this company, then I can trust them too. So just a side note, you definitely want to be particular about which brands you partner with, which brands mesh with your audience, because all of that tells a story about your brand. And if something doesn't go well, it becomes a reflection of your brand as well. So, for example, even if you are driving down the road, I know some of us may have our reservations about a McDonald's, but seeing those golden arches sometimes during a long trip. I remember growing up, I had moved to Massachusetts. I was originally from New York. And when we would go back to New York, I think we would be like on the interstate, and we would be on there for a while. But the moment we saw those McDonald's arches, especially early in the morning, because we loved their breakfast bagels, we would see those arches and we knew that we were about to stop, get some gas, and get that breakfast that we really wanted so badly. So your logo can be that sign of relief, for someone who needs whatever it is that you offer. The next point is that logos build trust and credibility. So a polished logo signals professionalism before you ever say a word. And without one, people will subconsciously question whether your business is legit or long-term. Put yourself in people's shoes. When it's time for you to make a purchase, I'm sure you look at what that company is providing, and it helps you to determine whether you feel like you can trust them or not. If they didn't have a logo on their side or any visual elements, it may make you think twice about whether it was a legitimate company or not. And so your consistency in visuals helps to build that long-term brand equity that your business is going to have. In addition, a logo helps you to stand out in a crowded market. So especially in saturated industries, your personality and your distinction are a huge part of your brand persona. And so your logo can communicate your tone, your vibe, and it can give a little bit of your story at a glance depending on how it's designed. So, for example, having a bold one versus a refined, something that's innovative versus traditional, or something that's more playful versus something that looks more premium. So your logo helps to tell a little bit of a story. Now, don't get it mistaken for the logo telling your whole story, because your logo is literally a symbol. It's not a storybook. So don't forget that part. But it is able to play a part in your entire brand story. Now, your logos support your brand experience across all your touch points, and we briefly spoke on that. So everything from your email signature to your social media headers, all of those things need visual cohesion, and your logo tends to become the anchor point for your entire visual system. So without that, your materials are going to look pieced up or pieced together. They're going to be inconsistent, and it will eventually or essentially look as though it's amateur. And we do not want our brands to look amateur, especially if we're planning to compete against the big brands, right? We are personifying our brands to compete against any brand. No one wants to look at us as the small business. We're just businesses, right? So we want to make sure that we play the part as well. A logo is part of your visual identity, but it's not the entire identity. So when you have your brand suite created, it's not just your logo. It has your variations, but it also has your color palette, your typography, some patterns or textures, your photo style, and even your iconography. And so understand that it's not just a logo alone that will build your brand, but your brand not having a logo will be visually incomplete, and we do not want that. Now, the final point is that your logo is the first step to being remembered. Repetition helps to build recognition, And recognition builds preference. Now, when you have a preference, that's what leads to conversion and sales. And so you can look at your logo as the very first seed that is planted in your audience's mind, which will then bloom into a beautiful plant or fruit or flower or whatever you prefer. But a professional logo doesn't necessarily make your brand. However, it absolutely elevates how your brand is perceived. It influences how it's remembered, and it plays a great part in whether your brand is trusted. So don't think about it as you trying to be fancy, but think of it as you being recognizable. You want people to recognize you so that they can patronize your business. So that's what I have for you today. If you are serious about building a brand that speaks for you when you're not in the room, you don't have to do it alone. So go ahead and join my free community, Personify My Brand, to get access to discussions, resources, and your free Brand Vitals assessment. Do that by visiting personifymybrand.com/group. Inside, you'll get the clarity on your brand identity, message, visuals, and so much more, all through the lens of the Brand Vitals framework. So I'll catch you guys in the next episode. Bye.
Discover what sets your brand apart, then say it with confidence. What's Your Secret Sauce is a free 3-day challenge designed to help entrepreneurs uncover the unique flavor that makes their brand unforgettable. Through guided prompts, live training, and powerful clarity exercises, you'll identify what truly sets you apart and how to communicate it in a way that connects and converts. If you've ever struggled to stand out in a crowded market or explain what makes you different, this challenge will give you the breakthrough you need. You'll walk away with your personalized secret sauce recipe, a clear, compelling blend of your brand's strengths, purpose, and positioning that makes selling feel natural. Join us by visiting brandmysecretsauce.com.
You're doing all the things: posting content, updating your website, running ads, tweaking your offers, but still wondering, why isn't this working? Truth is, you might be focusing on areas that look productive, but aren't actually moving the needle. The Brand Vitals assessment helps you stop guessing and start targeting. It's like a wellness checkup, but for your brand. You'll gain crystal clear insight into the 9 essential areas every brand needs to thrive. No fluff, no filler, just facts about where your brand stands and what needs your focus. Because clarity is the first step to real momentum. And when you know where to focus, you start to see progress, not just activity. Get out of busy work. Get into brand building that actually works. Take the Brand Vitals assessment now. Have you tapped into your Firmacy benefits? As a beneficiary, you unlock special offers, gifts, and always stay in the loop. Subscribe today to receive your exclusive dose. Visit firmacybenefits.com.